So, how does advertising actually work? I find it useful to think of the two main roles of advertising. The first is brand building. In other words, making your brand memorable, making it famous, making sure it comes to mind spontaneously when people are thinking about buying the category. This gives your brand a huge advantage versus competitors. But coming to mind spontaneously isn't enough, because quite often people are so busy with their everyday lives, they're not actively thinking about the category and their purchase and the brands. They need to be triggered. So purchase activation is the other main role of advertising. It's to make sure your brand is present and triggers those wonderful brand memories at the time when people are thinking about making a purchase. The two work hand in hand, like in a football team. It's all very well having midfielders who can get the ball in the right vicinity of the net, brand building, making the brand a potential purchase. But you also need purchase activation advertising that helps put the ball in the back of the net. But how does advertising actually create those memories that make the brand famous and help it come to mind? Well, I'm sure many of you will know of the famous experiment by Professor Pavlov with his dogs. What he did was that he would repeatedly ring a bell every time he gave the dogs some food. He did this again and again and again and again. Now, initially, ringing the bell wasn't strongly associated in the dog's minds with anything in particular, but after repeated exposure, it became a very strong link. In fact, so strong that even if there was no food present and Pavlov rang the bell, he would notice that the dogs started to salivate, showing that they had associated the sound of the bell with the concept of eating food. Now, this is exactly how advertising works to build brand memories. You need to make sure that your brand is in people's minds at the time when you show them some advertising associations. You project something through your advertising that you want to link to your brand. That's essentially how it works.